Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alverez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alverez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with me, Tom Alverez. My guest on today's episode is actor-director Ryan Artzberger. He's also artistic director for Indianapolis Shakespeare Company, or Indy Shakes. Join me now as I go on the aisle for a conversation with Ryan. Welcome, Ryan. I'm so happy to have you on my podcast. It's been a while since I've had my eyes set on getting you on here, and we finally made it happen. So Thank you for your time.
Thank you for yours.
Okay, so many things to talk about before I hit the record button. I said, I like to do profiles. I like to do evergreen stuff, material, content. But in your case, there's something that you want to promote, and so I'm going to make an exception for you just because, I heard you're such a nice guy. And anyway, I've been wanting to get to know you for a long time, so heck, I'll promote whatever I like. And the Indianapolis Shakespeare Company, or Indy Shakes, I'm a big fan. And of course, I'm a big fan of yours. You're a well-known actor in Indianapolis, primarily at the Indiana Repertory Theatre, but you also performed at the Phoenix Theatre and others around town, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so let's get started. First of all, I want to know about you. I mean, I've seen your credits, but they never go that deep. And I've always been interested in how is it that you got to Indy? Where are you from? Who are your people? Tell me everything.
I won't go too far into who my people are, because we'll be talking about central Pennsylvania for a long time. But I'm from, born and raised in Cleveland, and went to undergrad at Ohio University in southeastern Ohio. And then there was a visiting professor who was teaching us movement and was visiting from... She was actually on the dance faculty at Juilliard, and she and I had, let's say, disciplinary problems. I would often not go to her class because it was a class on period dance, and I was like, if I'm going to be in a show where I need to know period dance, they're going to hire someone like this woman to come in and teach us period dance, so I'm not really interested in this class. But she got to see some of the stuff that I was doing in projects and stuff, and she thought I had talent. And so one of the few classes I did show up to, she was like, okay, we're going to end early. I'd like to talk to Ryan. And she was like, I think you're extremely talented. And I was like, okay, thank you very much. And she was like, and I think you need to get your butt kicked. And I was like, thanks. And she said, I think you should audition for Juilliard because they would nurture your talent and they would also kick your butt in the right way. Mm-hmm. And so I took her advice and I auditioned and I got in and I went to Juilliard, and then kind of typical story is you grow up in the Midwest, you go to New York to get work, and the only place you can get work is in the Midwest. So in 1997, I auditioned for Christmas Carol at the IRT for the first time. That was when Janet Allen was running the place, and Scott Wentworth was the director. And kind of funny little side story. I left that audition and went to train at this restaurant right across from Lincoln Center that was French service. And it was like, you serve things on the two sides of a serving spoon, like, filet of sole in a lemon butter sauce. And I was like, and I lied and said that I had French service experience in order to get in the door because the check averages must have been ridiculous.
What was the name of that restaurant? I'm sure I've been there.
I don't know if it still exists anymore. I don't remember. I mean, it's...
Okay, right across from Lincoln Center, did you say?
Right across from Lincoln Center, yeah.
Right.
Maybe you were there back in the days, but I went and trained, and I was like, I am going to ruin someone's $1,500 suit, I can't do this. And this was back in pre-cell phone days, so I walked out of the restaurant after my training session, checked my voicemail, and in fact, I had gotten an offer to do A Christmas Carol, which would have started up a few weeks later. And so I walked right back in the restaurant and said to the manager, "I'm so sorry, I just found out I got this gig. I don't want to waste your time by coming back to the training session tomorrow. If it's okay, I'll get back with you when I come back in town."
About destiny. IRT saved your ass then, huh?
Yeah. Saved a few suit replacement bills.
So you made your way to Indianapolis. Did you know anything about Indy?
No, it was one of those.
Or anything like that?
Even though I grew up in this neighboring state, I was like, "Where is Indiana? Oh, it's right next to Ohio." Okay, so I had no idea, and of course, all these years later, now I've done something like 63 performances.
What year did you arrive?
1997.
You know, go ahead.
I didn't arrive here then. That was my first gig, and then I would, back and forth to New York. But then I did a couple productions that year and a few productions the following year. And by then it was like...
What did you play in that first Christmas Carol?
I played Young Scrooge, Christmas Future, and then I can't remember, there was a number of, kind of...
And how many productions did you end up doing during your tenure there?
So this past production of the Christmas Carol of 2025 was my 23rd production of Christmas Carol, and I think my 63rd production overall at the IRT.
I've seen most of your body of work because, in fact, I go way back to when the theater was founded. It was at the Athenaeum, and the original founders I knew, and I always take great. I'm very proud that I've been around that long enough to have seen the continuum of how theater has grown and how it's helped shape this community and what it has done. And it's certainly, as a reviewer, I mean, it gave me an education, that I would have only gotten if I had lived in New York. Think about it. Because a lot of people who've come through there acted in New York on Broadway, but many other people in regional theaters all over the country have been to Indy. So, I've seen some great work. I really feel fortunate. And in your case, like I said, we could go over some of the shows you've been in. I've probably seen most of them. So that's why I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time, to see what makes you tick, And so how, overall looking back, well, you're still there. You're still working on occasion, right? They still cast you for stuff.
Yes, as I age, I think, many of the actors around town who've aged can attest to the fact that there comes to a point where your castability gets more and more limited, and that's. But
they're always going to need character actors. They're always going to need old people, right?
Yeah, they are, but not for every show, of course, and so that makes sense.
Sure.
I cannot complain. I've done 63 productions there, so. But of course, I'll take whatever I can get there.
There must be countless directors. I mean, the list of directors that you've had the privilege of working from. And again, for people who don't know IRT, they hire people from all over the country, directors included.
Yeah. I've been very fortunate to call that place my artistic home for so long. And gotten to work with some great directors, designers.
Some of them? Drop some names.
I would say that my favorite production that I was a part of at IRT, I don't know if favorite is the right word, but I think that I did the best work in The Crucible. And that was directed by Michael Edwards.
Who did you play?
I played John Proctor.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was one of my.
Great role.
I think it happened at the right time in my career and my trajectory as an actor, and the ability to relax into some of the moments and allow those moments to happen versus engineering or forcing, But also, I just loved the way that the production was beautifully conceived and really well executed. In that it was minimal, and it was
It's not a lot of
not a lot of sets. It was simple. It was almost Quaker-like in the design, and it felt really and the same thing applied to his approach to the acting, which was just be simple, just breathe truth into the moment, and I really that's my jam.
Yeah, it was coming back, all of those possessed witches and running around and carrying on and all that.
Well, nobody's a witch, just people getting blamed for
alleged
Yeah.
witches.
Yeah.
So, and the same runs true with actors you've worked with over your career here, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That must have been fun. There's no way you could keep track of all of them, but do you stay in touch with a lot of those folks that you worked with? Do you have group texts and stuff like that?
Some group chats still exist, but typically what happens is you might be a part of that group chat, and then you handpick the one person.
Actors are gypsies, after all. They move on, right?
Yeah.
You swear you'll be in touch forever, and you just can't, right?
But every once in a while, you just think of the person and say, "Hey, I just thought of you. Just wanted to say hi. How you doing? Hope you're doing well." And then you just, touch back into contact.
When you've had the experience you have, the career you have, but you've got a great network though too. Have people continue to help each other open doors and recommend each other and blah blah blah?
Absolutely. I mean, there's someone I've worked with, not at the IRT, but his wife is a casting director, and he would sometimes say, "Hey, what about Ryan for this role?" And nothing has yet panned out, but it's a continual. Hey, would you read for this? Just submit a recorded audition, and we'll put your name in the hat. So,
I spoke of the bigger picture, and that's what the IRT has meant to me in my career as a reviewer. But I'm an actor myself, and I don't do theater acting, but it's that's also being exposed to that quality of acting has really, I've soaked that up. The directing, everything that theater has offered, has been invaluable to me in my own work. I'm a producer. I do musical cabarets and that sort of thing, but nevertheless, what I learned from it was a training ground for me, if you will, the Indiana Repertory Theatre. I do not take it for granted, and that's why I'm such an advocate for, not only that theater, but all the theaters. So let's start talking about Indy Shakes, okay? And I'm going to tell on myself. I haven't seen the work in your new space at Riverside Park, and I swear every year. But now that you're here, then it would be really embarrassing if I didn't show up next time, because you're right here, and you can. Where's that Tom Alverez? He said he would come, so you'll have to hold me to it. But I love the shows, and you weren't. I don't know if you were involved. I'm sure you were an actor, but you weren't in charge when they were at the White River State, right?
No, yeah, that's my first involvement was as an actor in 2008 when they first ventured into doing free Shakespeare in the Park.
Okay. And, I had so many idyllic evenings there, with the picnic basket and the friends and the sun coming down in the west, or, over the river. It was magical there. But,
yeah.
Where you're in now is, not chopped liver.
No, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous place.
Well,
and
tell me about it.
Or
tell our listeners who aren't familiar with what we're talking about.
Yep. So the Taggart Memorial is a colonnade sort of monument to Thomas Taggart, who was a former mayor and I think senator. And it had long been in disrepair, and many of the neighborhood associations and neighbors would try to get funding to get something done to it, to repair it, and so that it could be useful. And then my predecessor, Diane Timmerman, worked with, so she created kind of an alliance of 4 different organizations. the Parks Alliance, Indy Parks, Indy Shakes, and Indiana Landmarks. The Taggart Memorial was and still is a protected landmark. So they put a grant together as a team to Lilly Endowment, and we were granted, I think it was $9.25 million to refurbish the landmark itself and make it safe, and then build a stage out from that, and then create an amphitheater in the lawn of Riverside Park.
Which is on the east side of the memorial?
It's on the west side of the memorial.
Okay.
Yeah, so now...
And the parkway.
Yeah.
It's in the rear.
Yeah. So now the sun sets behind the audience,
cool.
and the actors are the ones who are getting retinal burn.
That was one of my favorite drives, and when I was a runner, that was where I ran. And, sometimes I would just go there to look at the sunset, park there in one of those spaces. And I just love that park. And
I do too.
It was heartbreaking to see the memorial, crumble before my very eyes. But like a lot of stuff in Indy, I mean, like I said, I've been here 50, 60 years, but a lot of stuff got saved, fortunately. But think of all we lost, but at least some of these really gorgeous edifices, like the one we're talking about, I am so grateful that people stepped in and saved it,
Yeah, it really is a gorgeous place to spend time. And, tech is typically a strenuous and difficult process, and you're just like, what a great place to be doing tech.
Yeah.
Because it's just a gorgeous venue. I just love it.
How long have you been, are you the executive director?
Yeah, executive artistic director.
And for how long?
So Diane recognized the need to step away, and in around COVID time really is when she started to identify it. And it was at that time that I stepped in and said we should maintain an online virtual presence and continue to reach our supporters via virtual work. So we did a few online kind of Zoom events during COVID.
At the theater?
These were all Zoom.
Oh, I see.
So it was just...
I see, yeah.
It was the early stages of my awareness of Zoom and what it could do. We probably would have figured out a way to do a virtual invited full performance, but it was also in the time of COVID when everyone was quarantined. So it was easier to just do. We basically did. We called it a mid-Zoomer night stream, and it was people in Zoom boxes, and we used the chorus of Henry V, which talks about, can we cram into this wooden O the vasty fields of France? So we just changed it, can we cram into this electric box?
That's ingenious, man.
So it was that kind of thinking that made Diane go, I think you should take over when I step back. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not the best people person. But then I started to get inspired by the direction that I could take the company and some of the ideas that I have around producing things, and I'm also passionate about community engagement, and that is a crucial part of what we do. And so I accepted the tap, and I.
Well, you spent a life in the theater, and I find it really interesting that you underestimated what you probably picked up by osmosis, working around people like Janet Allen and whoever, all the people, Brian and Stephen Stolen and all those great people who ran the place, right?
And I've had
now you're an arts administrator.
Yeah, and I've had in addition to those unknown mentors, like that are mentoring you without even knowing that they're mentoring you. I've also had some national credits to my acting career, so I was able to take some things from various places and apply it.
And you still have those resources if you need like advice or consult with people, right?
Yep.
Wow. Yep. Many people in the Shakespeare business? Other theaters, or like Cincinnati in the Park, places like that, or did you
I
study precedents? In other words,
I have a couple of connections at various places that do center their work around Shakespeare, and all of those places also open up to things that aren't Shakespeare, which is one of the things that I've been instrumental in.
There was just a reopening of a Shakespeare space in New York City, right? In Central Park. What am I talking about?
Oh yeah, the where they do Shakespeare in the Park at
Didn't they refurbish their old facility?
They did. I'm so jealous.
People used to get rained on and stuff.
It's so gorgeous. I wanted to see that.
What's it called? I can't remember.
The Delacorte.
Yeah, Delacorte got it. It was big. It got a lot of press recently.
That was my dream, just coming out of school. Living in New York as a Shakespeare nerd, going to those free things and lining up and waiting for tickets. That's how you used to do it. I don't know how you do it now. It was my dream to do a show at the Delacorte. Wow. And my first auditions out of school were for, it was Henry V. It was Henry V, and two of my classmates ended up being in that production. I had like 5 different callbacks and didn't get the gig, but what a dream to be able to work there. But that production that they did of Twelfth Night just looked incredible. Did you read anything about that?
Yes, I did. I try to keep track of what they're doing in New York in general, so yes.
I really wanted to go see that, but...
While we're here, let's talk a little bit about your New York experience, and we'll get back to your present gig. But I'm just really curious about what the Juilliard experience was like for you, and what it did for you. Now that you've had a chance to look back, how long has it been since you were there?
I graduated in the spring. It will be 30 years, 1996. So, it has such a rarefied reputation. So many, and I'm sure you could rattle off all the names of people you went to school with who went on to become movie stars, theater luminaries, and so on and so forth. And everyone. I've met a lot of people there who didn't go on for fame or money, but they were able to continue to do just really good work. Where do you fit in? Did you ever have any interest in chasing fame and money? Well, of course, I don't know about fame, but getting paid really well for what you do is always appealing. And I had some moments that were sort of high points in my career as far as that goes, like really high profile gigs. A lot of those centered around the work I did with Mary Zimmerman, who is a Tony Award winning director, and work I did at the Shakespeare Theatre in DC. But essentially, my work here, the easy and clean version of the story is I had family reasons to move here and give up ideas of chasing higher profile stuff.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 kids.
Okay, how old are they?
One is 26 and one is 19.
You have a 26-year-old?
Yeah. Yeah, so...
what are their names and what do they do?
Will Skidmore is my oldest, and he is 26, and he lives in Boulder, Colorado, and is a cook, and lives with his girlfriend of like 5 or 6 years now. I think they met during COVID. So he's enjoying his time out there. She's a skier. He's a snowboarder. And so in the snowy.
See him often? You get out there?
We've only been out there one time. It's a gorgeous place to be. We might head out there this year.
Who's we?
Me and my wife Marita.
Tell me about her. I don't know that we've ever met.
Marita and I met at the IRT.
Oh, I know Marita.
Marita Clark.
Years.
Yeah. Met at the IRT doing a show, and we're just instantly drawn to one another, and we've been married since
IRT romance. There are a few of those, right?
Yeah. We got married in 2002. We've had our ups and downs, but we are still together and have a beautiful family. And
Sure.
our youngest is 19 and IU sophomore, and her name is Clara, and she is a huge football fan. So this season has been just magic to follow. I didn't care.
Did you get to go to any of the Peach Bowl, or did she get to go to?
She didn't go, but we watched.
Yeah.
We watched and
What
screamed
fun. Where'd you watch?
from our house.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That way we can yell and not offend anybody.
Everyone's a Hoosier right now. Well, when the show drops, we will have won. I'm going to manifest it, right? Let's manifest
I don't
it.
think there's any doubt. Team's unstoppable.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got these adult children. You're happily married, and how has it been living in Indianapolis all these years? Is it the home that you sort of always dreamed of having?
It has become the home that I have dreamed of having, but I never dreamed of it being here. Mm-hmm. I always thought I would die in Brooklyn, New York. And
well, I was going to ask you that. Did you when you were there? Did you have this sort of quintessential actors, living in a cold water flat? I don't know if they still call them that, or they still have them. But did you were you starving artist, or how was it for you?
I was never starving. I was always, there were times when I was working 2 jobs. And
could you get scholarships at Juilliard?
I had scholarships, but I'm still paying my student loans.
Oh gosh,
30 years later, it's getting close, but it's if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have.
Ryan, did you soak up New York? Did you go to museums? Did you go to shows that you could go to? I mean, did you take it all in, or?
While in school, they made, invited dress rehearsal tickets available to us. So we saw a bunch of Broadway shows in kind of like final dress rehearsal,
right.
And that was delightful. I did a fair amount of museum going, mostly just living in the city and absorbing the energy and vibrancy and cultural diversity, and that was the thing that I really loved about being there.
Just the atmosphere in general.
And walking down the street and hearing 7 different languages on the way from the coffee shop to your workplace.
And is there such a thing as, I happen to think there is, that energy that speak of? Yeah. How would you describe that?
I don't know. It feels like being in a river where there's just thrust. There's motion. There's kinetic energy all around you.
That's why they get so impatient, the tourists and those strollers. Get out of my way! I'm trying to get to
one. Exactly.
Did you ride the subway? Is that your mode of transportation?
Subway. You asking that question reminds me of there was a time when I was so broke that I was living at 58th and 10th, and I only had enough money to buy myself a bagel for the day's meal, the whole day, and I walked to my job in Soho at 6th Avenue and Spring Street.
You work for.
And there was only one day where that happened, but
you didn't eat ramen noodles or
ramen and
cans of beans and stuff like that.
Yeah, and mac and cheese but I got to, you get to be a good cook because you get sick of all that, so you
worked in a lot of restaurants too.
I worked in restaurants, this.
Well, but it makes sense because it's a performance. Like you were in the French restaurant, you had to put on an act, right? Same thing, right?
The restaurants I ended up in were more just like kind of bistro, or then the longest stint I had was a place called EJ's Luncheonette, and it is it's like upscale diner.
Okay.
So it's diner food, but kind of elevated. And
did you ever put on an accent just for fun? Because they don't know who you are.
Sometimes, just like, I don't want to deal with another table. So it's easier to just have a character that you're hiding behind.
So were they? I mean, when you're a server in New York, you get what you get. You get the people who live there and the tourists too.
Yeah.
What depends on where you go.
Yeah,
right?
and you get some famous people. I would say so. I waited on Al Franken, George Stephanopoulos. Oh God, famous tennis player.
That's the thing I love about New York is that you see all these famous people running around, but no one bothers them except for the tourists. And when you if you do bother them, they take it in stride. I mean, unlike other places, because. But anyway, my point is that you can have plenty of those encounters in New York City because a lot of people come in and out of there or live there, and they love the fact that they can be anonymous. In a city like that, and they're respected. People respect their privacy. Is that true?
I think so. I'm sure that there's probably, and I didn't live there in the day of, constant.
I stood next to Jerry Seinfeld in a theater bathroom one time, and I also ran into Trump on a corner of right near his building, and so.
Sorry about that part.
Anyway, so what I'm getting is, though, that you did enjoy your time in New York, and you took a lot of it.
Yeah, I loved it.
And then the education itself, how would you rank it?
The education. So I can't speak to what it's like now to go there, but it feels they put a big focus on voice and speech there. And a part of that feels a little bit like the military tearing you down, removing your personality, because they try to get you to be able to sound a certain way. But I think what I recognized was that they're trying to give you the tools to be able to sound a certain way if you need to. But I refuse to let it strip my personality away, and I maintained, and I still maintain, that you shouldn't, doing Shakespeare shouldn't all sound the same. Everybody should sound like themselves. Of course, if you said it in Oklahoma, then everybody's going to be doing Oklahoma accents, and we'll have to get a dialect coach or whatever. But it gave me a giant, incredible toolbox to be able to approach.
And that was the point of the whole
And that's the whole point. Yeah. So there are some frustrations, of course, and some very difficult moments. But it was incredible. And you mentioned earlier that there were people that were contemporaries of mine there. Viola Davis was in her fourth year when I started, so I got to see her in her final year perform roles like Paulina in Winter's Tale, and you just lean forward when she was on stage, and you just that's how you do it.
Wouldn't you agree, though, surrounded by all that greatness, obviously it rubbed off on you. I mean, wouldn't you say that it influenced your standards about the work, right?
Yeah, it does. And
someone was talking about, I always love to hear artists talk about their perfectionism, because that's not uncommon to serious people. You want to, what's the point unless you give it your all? What are your thoughts about perfectionism?
I would say that I'm a perfectionist in giving myself to the moment. Mm-hmm. So that's the standard I try to be perfect at, quote unquote perfect. Constantly returning to give yourself over to the moment, let the moment happen to you versus you manipulating it. Mm-hmm. I believe in chaos and its ability to teach us and lead us the right way, because humanity doesn't happen with we don't get to cater.
Explain that further, what you mean by chaos. Give me an example of what you're talking about.
allowing impulse that isn't pre-planned to come to play in a moment, versus I'm going to sit in my chair at home and plan out all of my reactions and actions and everything, and then go and do it the same way no matter what's happening. I find there to be so much freedom and possibility in the unexpected. So maybe chaos isn't the right word, but just.
Well, I was thinking that, I was for a long time. I started studying theater. I went on to do television, and I was a director. And I thought you were talking about staying calm, or you're surrounded. There's a saying that, what do you do when the whirling dervishes are moving all around you? Well, you stand still. And I learned as a TV director when, train wrecks were happening, and, you had to stay calm. Because if you didn't, you'd make another mistake. If a mistake happened, you just move on. You keep going. You know? Same thing happens in the theater. If someone drops their lines and you're on stage with them.
Yeah, and so the more you're, the more you're in touch and welcoming of, if chaos isn't the right word, at least not planned, like unplanned experience. Then if someone drops their scarf or drops their line, then you're not expecting something, and you can pick up and move on. So and
who are some of your acting influences? Has it changed over years?
Yeah, I think when I was looking into school, people like De Niro were huge in terms of just being on the very razor's edge of the moment.
Jodie Foster was just on recently talking about Taxi Driver. Just working with De Niro back then.
Unbelievable.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, Jodie Foster alone,
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, she's great.
She and De Niro in that film, made me want to see it again. It's been a while, So, okay, so besides De Niro at that time, who was hot when you were in school?
Like people like Tim Roth were really appealing to me. And then, people I came across, I got the chance to work with Tom Hulse, who played Amadeus in the movie. He directed a project of ours.
Is he still around? Is he still working?
I don't. I lost touch with him since then. There was one time in my first. I think it was must have been my second time doing Christmas Carol here. He was directing an adaptation of the play that we worked on together, which was an adaptation of John Irving's Cider House Rules, and he was directing it at I think Seattle Rep, and they flew me to New York to audition, but I didn't land it. So yeah, and I always admire his work.
Ryan, did you ever work in film?
I have done enough film to know that I really, really love it. I just love that you can do so little and impart so much to the camera. You
got to bring it all down.
And you can just think it. You can just think it, and the camera picks up your thought.
A good example of this, and I don't know if you follow pop culture, but I watch a lot of TV because that's my background, but just because I like acting, and there's some really good work right now because of the streaming platforms. I learned a lot of that in COVID. I mean, that's how it saved my ass. Right, looking at the work, there was a lot of good work coming out of that period. And a lot of people are doing TV, streaming, who wouldn't have touched TV before with the work. There's a certain... And, I have to say that, we're going to talk about heated rivalry for just a minute here, because the acting, though, is extraordinary. It's what you're talking about. Those actors, they show the characters' inner lives just with their eyes, their expressions. It's remarkable that they have that ability. You know, it's very small.
Yeah.
It says it tells you everything you want to know just by one look and their reactions, and they really listen to each other. You know, and I just love that kind of acting.
Yeah, and I think that while a lot of those people can replicate what they just did in a second take, they also recognize that unplanned interruption in speech or unplanned your gaze gets taken off screen or something, it provides like real humanity, especially when the frame is just a little bit bigger than your face.
Can you
know?
cry on cue, by the way?
Not on cue, but situationally I can.
And do you use memory recall? Do you think of your dog dying or someone you lost or some sad situation, or what do you do? What's your tell me your tricks.
It depends. Like, so the goal. So for a number of years, I played Marley's Ghost in
Yes.
the IRT's Christmas Carol, and I did so this past production too. And the goal wasn't to cry in that scene at all, but sometimes in the pursuit of trying to get through to him that I wasted my life and I hope he won't do the same, it would bring tears to the eyes. But that wasn't the goal at all, but it would just happen because of desperately connecting to regret and the hope to pass on the ability to avoid regret to somebody else.
I saw the production this year. I took a break for about 3 or 4 years, and I came back. It was extraordinary. I mean, all the changes that have been made. And remind me, who directed it? Kara?
Kara. Yeah.
Kara. She was on the show. I love her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's brought some really interesting experience to that role. What was it like working with her?
Well, it's cool because
for people who don't know, I'm talking Kara.
Kara Hinn.
She's been the associate artistic director, correct? For
2 years, yeah.
Okay.
And so what's cool about one thing that's very cool about that is that Kara, I think their first experience of theater was coming to the IRT, and
she told that story,
and also participated in the summer conservatory for youth. So Rob and I were teachers of Kara's. Rob Johansson, who plays Scrooge now, and I were both teachers at the conservatory when Kara was there.
I didn't know that. That's remarkable.
Yeah, so I think it was...
You must be like proud papas.
Yeah, very much so.
Cool.
But the other cool thing about that project is that it just has so many various voices from the past that are influencing it, even as a new director takes...
You know, when you and Rob work together, he's been on the show too, actually... And you know, it's so much fun watching you two interact. You can tell that you guys are just having a blast. And
we also have infinite trust in each other. And this is maybe not a very proud moment to talk about, but way back when we were doing the Scottish play, and I guess we're not in a theater. We were doing Macbeth, and I was playing Macbeth, and he played Banquo in other roles, and there was this one role where he played the doctor at the end when Macbeth is going insane, and we would improvise violence. there was scheduled expected violence, and then within that we would play with the parameters, which is not what you want to do generally speaking as a stage combatant. You want to plan, and you want it to be a dance.
He's a stage combat teacher, right?
Yeah, and guru, and he's terrific at it. And his willingness to go with me just kind of set us on the path of it. It rears its head every once in a while where we'll just improvise physical.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall at he and Jen's house. His wife, Jen. She was remarkable this year in Carol, Christmas Carol. Hey, let's get back to Indy Shakes. I want to know, what is you work with a lot of great actors at the theater. I know that has drawn a lot of the best. Claire Wiltshire being one of them. I have
Amazing.
a number of people who worked with your company on the show, and I just talk about, technique and artistry, acting. You guys, you've really attracted some really good people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel very.
You and Chris Saunders have a reputation for companies that actors want to work with.
Mm.
It's an actor. You're actors out. You're direct. A lot of you have. You're actors. So you know how to direct. You know how to, fulfill so many different hats in the theater.
Yeah, I think I feel very fortunate in the number of people who have worked with Indy Shakes. Claire, Rob, Jen. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
So
Daniel Martin is one of my favorites.
What is your estimation of? I've always been curious from your standpoint. I see everything and have for a long time, so I have a pretty good idea that, in my opinion, we have an extraordinary talent pool. It's endless in this town. What is your estimation?
I would say that it's a very deep talent pool for the size of a city that it is. Incredible.
And they're still coming on board, new talent. Right?
Yes, yeah. I would say that, all of the theaters could do some work towards investing in and nurturing, for example, Spanish-speaking actors.
Good to hear you say that. It's my newest passion.
So it's one of mine too. I don't know if you knew that we did Luis Alfaro's Mojada was our first play that we produced at the Phoenix, and so we basically had to hire almost entirely from out of town.
I did see it, and I loved it, and I wrote about it in a review, and I raved about it.
I loved that play, and I loved that production.
Man who was the lead? Remind me.
Chris, I'm forgetting his last name. Oh, Martinez? No, I can't remember his last name. I'm sorry.
I have to say, I moved to Hallville because Brian Fonseca got me there. He was my next door neighbor, and I consciously moved there because I wanted to be in a Latino community, and English is my first language, and I'm learning Spanish. I just turned 78, but I have neighbors now. And I see all these young people, and there's a family down the street, 3 teenage boys, and they're interested in the arts, but they've never seen anything, and I took them to a show. Mm-hmm. And I see all these young people around, but they don't. Someone's got to channel all that.
Yeah.
There's talent out there, but there's still, I think a lot of it's going to happen. It's matriculated. The Fonseca Theater is doing work down there, but more people need to get involved. Then there's all the red tape that goes with IPS and doing partnerships with students and those schools and all that, which gets in the way,
I think, you mentioned gets in the way. I think that there's a lot of perceived barriers that add to someone who might be willing to jump in. There are perceived barriers that prevent them from jumping in. And so the more theaters can work to open doors and present a space.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. Are you working on any kind of outreach through Indianapolis with the Latino community?
Well, I just had a conversation. So a big part of what I try to do weekly is stay connected to the Riverside neighborhood, which is where the Taggart Memorial Amphitheater is located. And, one of the thought processes around us moving there was that we committed to not just being a drop-in, produce something in the summer and see you next year, but to be a constant year-round neighbor.
Do you have a partnership with Heron, which is in your neighborhood?
There's a developing partnership, yeah.
It only makes sense. They're just right down the road.
Yeah, the problem is that they're closed when we're working. So, but we are working on potential they got a grant to refinish another of their schools, and part of that is a.
Do you offer apprenticeships or internships?
We have internships every summer.
And for behind the scenes as well,
Yeah.
designers, or stage managers.
So the internships are all essentially to have the tech support staff. So there's a sound intern and lighting intern, 2 wardrobe costume interns, 2 stage management interns, and a marketing intern.
And you know, coming from the professional theater, that people of color in the design fields are a great demand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And IRT has done its share in the last 10 years of hiring some top people,
Yep.
blacks and Latinos.
Yep.
I mean, they're there, but I know part of the problem is they haven't been matriculated through training, schools, whatever. They haven't graduated. They're still, but so that's why, I asked about outreach. Are you giving breaks to young people to get their foot in the door?
So one idea that I've had, so we have an initiative that's called What's in a Canon, which was Mojada was the first step in that direction, which is to just open up what we do to playwrights from the global majority. And Riverside, the play that we commissioned about the Riverside neighborhood that we developed in partnership with and through interviews with area residents, that was the second step in that. And the third one is Ado, which is what we're doing at the Phoenix coming up. But I have had this idea of developing a program that is in partnership with 1 or 2 universities where they have students of color who are interested in design work, and they would get an apprenticeship and work as the assistant set designer or whatever their area of focus is for a summer show. And then the following summer, they would have the design gig. It's just hard to get foothold because that's dependent on universities maintaining students who are students of color. So, but this is an idea that I'm that stays with me, and so I think I'd love to be a part of the growth of designers of color and the growth of the design pool here, because I also am more and more interested in hiring locally. We often have to hire out of town, and but I want to be a part of nurturing the local talent pool.
Do you have interactions with faculty at schools on the West Side?
I've had some conversations with Marian University, folks at Marian University.
But high schools.
So,
like George Washington.
I haven't.
Yeah. I mean, majority of the students there are Latinos. It seems to me out of that group, I don't know if arts funding's been cut, so you can't. I mean,
yeah. So it would be foundational.
Talented, huh?
Yeah, it would be foundational funding or potentially an individual.
Have you done any partnerships with Fonseca? Because obviously you know what their mission is, and it's Brian's mission. And
we haven't
started
yet.
all that work, by the way. Do you see yourself taking up where he left off, if you could? Because that's basically what he was trying to do, develop new designers, actors.
I don't know that I'm taking up where he left off, but maybe. I mean, I didn't even recognize that was a part of his mission.
Oh, definitely.
But
that's why he moved there, because he got in that grant for a while, a 3-year grant. He got a huge grant from Lilly Endowment to develop the West Side, because it was like Little Mexico. And I living there now. It's black, white, working class, and Latino. It's like all three.
Yeah.
racially mixed, and I love it for that. It's got a lot of it's got great fabric. And it's like I said, back to what we were talking about, finding the right resources who can, see your vision and help you get there, but it requires a lot of legwork, and that's what Brian was doing. He literally went from door to door when he was doing that 3-year grant. He got a mobile theater so that he could do shows and stuff. I don't know if you remember all that.
Yeah, I do.
He had the Rice and Bean Festival so he could meet the neighbors and all that kind of stuff. So
Which still is ongoing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, I love to hear that you're, that you want to bring Shakespeare into the so-called barrio or hood. That's cool. That's great.
And bring, the opposite direction too.
Exactly. Exactly. So. And Shakespeare, I just know that it's the universal.
It totally is.
In the human experience and humanity.
It's been weaponized in America as being something that is elitist, and I think that I don't necessarily mean in recent years, but historically it was always used as an ivory tower kind of situation, and so
I asked Laura Glover. I said, "Hey, Laura, how do you feel about Shakespeare being contemporized? I've seen some really bad productions, but I've seen some really fun ones too, where it worked. But hip hop versions of Shakespeare. Have you ever considered sort of a Latino take on a Shakespeare piece?"
Yeah, so it just returns back to partnership and talent pool. And so I think about a lot of stuff that would be really great and cool, and then you go, well, we're here, so how do we overcome?
Somewhere in the Southwest.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a theater company in Chicago that does bilingual productions, and I would love to, do a co-production with them and bring something in, and but again, ideally, it would be going back to your idea of identifying up and coming potential artists in high schools and.
Well, maybe one of our listeners is going to hear this. It does happen, So I think your story as a media person, I hope you can get the word out, more press and more opportunities to television or radio. And I'll always be here to help, of course. And that's why I'm so grateful to have this podcast, so we can delve deep into this kind of stuff, and help people understand. If we call ourselves a world-class city, we really need to reflect the world, don't you think?
Yes, yeah.
It's still really segregated. When I go out and cover stuff, I'm just shocked that there are so few. It's still very white or black, and now with the Latino mix, it's like, thank God. But it's still ongoing.
Yeah. And with the state of the world, it's currently it's not a surprise that
I went to see MJ the other night, Ryan, and there were 2 black people there. And, it's not that they don't love Michael Jackson. They hold him up in his music. He comes from, that community. He grew up but I suspect that a lot had to do with ticket prices.
Yep.
And had to do with, are they welcome?
Yeah. So one thing that we're exploring, besides making...
That's not to say that black people can't afford, to spend, but I think there's something wrong there if you've got a show based on Michael Jackson and it's a mostly white audience.
Yeah. Yeah, so, when we did Mojada, one of the things that I did was partner with Eduardo Luna of Arte Mexicano in Indiana, and we did he connected me with some people, and we did some outreach to alert the Latino community that this thing was going on, and telling some stories that might reflect their experiences. And, there were a couple of shows where there were over 50%.
I'd love to hear that.
And, I think it's all about partnership and collaboration and reaching out and reflecting other people's experiences, not feeling like I'm a white leader of an organization, so I have to stick to white content. That is not going to be doing service to the broader Indianapolis community if I'm not reflecting stories of people who don't look like me.
Exactly. Well, I have canonized certain people in my column on this podcast. When I say canonize, I've anointed people as descendants of Brian Fonseca. Chris Saunders is one of them, Casey Ross, and I think you are one too. Because you have his sense of what a community really is and what it could be, And I just hope that you can carry the torch. But you're on the right track, and, I promise anything I can do to encourage that.
Thank you.
I'd like to see people like me in Shakespeare plays, people who look like me. You hear that all the time.
Yep.
And so it's a work in progress, but, it just really means you have to, right now especially, it seems to me arts and sports are the only thing that we got where we can go feel some safety, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Shut out the noise and learn
and commune. I think that's a big part of why those two things are refuges from what's going on, is that you get to be a part of a group of people experiencing something together. Cheering for the same team, or going in and being a recipient of a story being told.
Yeah. Hey, guess where I'm going tonight?
Where?
By the time this air or runs, it's going to be long. It's been a while, but I'm going to see the Three Mexican Tenors tonight.
Oh.
And the conductor, who is Latino and dual citizen American, Enrico Lopez Yanez, his father, is one of the singers.
Wow.
So I've connected with Enrico.
Wait, his father is one of the three?
Yeah, I've connected with Enrico, and I suspect one of the reasons they brought him in here is because of the burgeoning Latino community. So something big is going on. If the symphony is paying attention, more people should take a page from that. We have this demographic. We've got all this enormous talent surrounding us.
I just had a conversation with someone who is a Riverside neighborhood resident. We were just talking about, I was just having a conversation in regards to my usual community engagement work, and just having a conversation, and she mentioned how on her street of 10 houses, all of a sudden seven of them have predominantly Spanish-speaking households in the last year and a half or so. And so...
Well, a lot of it has to do with rents are affordable, It's on the west side. But, there's some gentrification that is bound to happen very soon because it's 5 minutes away from the brand new hospital and IUPUI and all that.
And
That's
also,
another reason Brian knew that was happening.
But also Global Prep is in that neighborhood, which is a Spanish immersion school. So that might have something to do with it. But yeah, in any case, recognizing that is a burgeoning community and recognizing that we need to work to include them is crucial.
So you are not... people should never mistake you for being the kind of organization that's meant for the elite.
No, not at all.
And Shakespeare, it can be accessible.
Should be.
And you want to do away with that stereotype.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think Shakespeare. If we all had a time machine and could go back and go to a Shakespeare performance when it was originally done, we would get beer spilled on us. We would get curse words in our ear. It was meant for everybody. It was meant for everybody, and it still is, and it still should be.
Opera was too at one point.
I didn't know that.
It's history. Yeah, it was for the people.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, our summer Shakespeare is free to the public, and another thing that we're examining is accessibility through lowering our ticket prices at the Phoenix. We're experimenting with $17 tickets for this upcoming production.
Don't you get grants too?
We do.
So that you can give tickets away and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And for those who've never been to that experience, Tell them about the atmosphere, the whole idea that you can bring a meal, anything you want, Kentucky Fried Chicken or caviar, right? And everything in between.
Yep. Brent Marty is famous for having a really elaborate, fancy spread, and there are people who bring, like you say, they'll bring a bucket of fried chicken and a 6-pack of beer, and sometimes we have food trucks, and sometimes we don't. It's only 5 years that we've been producing out there, so we're still experimenting with the best format as far as that goes. But people bring picnics, people bring whatever their fancy strikes them.
And when the stars come out and the moon rises,
it is a beautiful, beautiful place to be. Family atmosphere, just fun. You can get there's no
and you
Shakespeare.
You don't have to behave a certain way.
No.
Or any of that stuff.
No, I mean, you want to be respectful and people are trying to listen, but
you know what I mean.
But
you don't have to like sit still.
No, and
it's Shakespeare.
No, get up and go order another, like get a soda at the Indy Shakes 10, or Shakespeare wrote in reminders about what has happened intentionally because that was the environment then, like people standing and drinking beers and kind of arguing about what's going on stage. And
well, we're out of time, but I'm going to put you on the spot. But you got a good memory because you know how to memorize lines. So give me a good Shakespeare quote to close this show on.
Oh, fools these mortals be.
What about? Well, isn't the one that I took a Shakespeare course and I was like you. I didn't like the teacher, and I skipped out a lot. And she nailed me one day, and she same kind of speech.
Mm-hmm.
You need to learn this stuff. If you're serious about being an actor, you've got to learn the literature. You've got to read his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, well, listen, thank you again. It's been fun. I feel like I finally got to know you.
It's nice to have a conversation with you finally after all these years of...
Really?
We know each other, but...
Yeah.
But...
Well, you were always working, You always struck me as being very serious about the work, and I really admire that. So, anyway, well, again, thank you, and I'll see you this summer. Oh, by the way, tell us about the season real quick. We didn't get a chance to talk about the show, but go ahead.
So, the show that's coming up at the Phoenix will run from February 12th to March 1st, and it's the second commissioned work that we've done. It's called Ado, and it's by a playwright named Lavina Jadwani, and it's the second in our effort to open up work by playwrights of color, essentially. And I just asked her what she wanted to do, and she's a Shakespeare nerd too, and she said, I want to correct Much Ado About Nothing. Whereby, so Much Ado, for listeners who don't know, there's a character who is supposed to get married. Her name is Hero, and Hero's fiance, Claudio, is tricked into believing that she's cheated on him the night before their wedding. And so at the altar, he shames her and leaves her at the altar, and her father shames her. She leaves the play in Act 4 and comes back in Act 5 to marry him. This play, Ado, by Lavina Jadwani, shows what happens in that interim, gives Hero voice and agency, and we get to experience the thought process between being betrayed and her ultimate forgiveness of Claudio and recognition of their love.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's great. And tickets are $17. You can be a supporter ticket and pay $40 or $50 for a VIP ticket, which gets you drinks and stuff. But $17 to just make it accessible to more people. Okay,
great. Give me a website for people to find out more about the organization and the show and everything.
www.indyshakes.com.
And are you on all the social media platforms?
Yep. Instagram and Facebook mainly.
And you know what? When people, I'm going to plug the show. So once you hear this show, if you would just post it on your social media so people can hear this. We've just did an hour-long commercial.
Yeah.
For Shakespeare, right?
Yep.
So it's in your best interest and mine and the public. If you believe in what we've talked about, help us get the word out, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for being a part of getting the word out.
Well, thank you. And with that, I'll see you on the aisle or on the grass.
Well, this one you'll be in an aisle, hopefully.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official newsletter for 15 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community. Thank you for joining me on the aisle. Please subscribe to my podcast, and if you want to hear previous episodes, find them on the All Indiana Podcast Network, or listen to them wherever you get your podcasts. This is Tom Alverez.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alverez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.